Been a lot of drama on Twitter today around Tailwind, and if I'm being honest, the word drama doesn't really do it justice. This has nothing to do with the usual debates around Tailwind, like, oh, you're going to make your markup so ugly? Yeah, because it's the best way to do CSS. We've established this for a long time now. Watch any of my other videos. I don't want to talk about whether or not Tailwind is good today, because whether or not you agree with Tailwind being good, there's a reason it is so popular, and that reason is probably because it's pretty good. But that's not what today is about. This is what today is about. Specifically, 75% of the engineering team for Tailwind just lost their jobs. This is not good. Whether or not you like Tailwind has nothing to do with the harsh reality that we're seeing here. This is one of the first examples of AI immediately causing engineers to lose jobs. Not like laid off based on speculation, but actual revenue going down for a business because of AI, and the results being people losing their jobs. The Tailwind org's revenue is down 80%. That's 80% of the money they were making, which was enough to mostly survive, gone. And AI is a huge part of that. This sucks. This sucks so bad that on a day that I was planning on taking off because I have the flu, like, I'm sorry for my voice being so congested, but I want to take the time to talk about this because we haven't seen anything like it before, and I have a bad feeling we're about to start seeing a lot more of it. Normally, I would make some joke about how I don't want to go broke, so I'm going to do a sponsor spot, but no, not today. This is just sad. So yeah, I do have to roll an ad here, but we'll do something to make up for that in just a bit. Do you know what OpenAI, Cursor, FAL, Snowflake, Carta, T3 Chat, and more all have in common? It's that they're all on this list. But what is this list? It's companies using WorkOS. Yes, all of those brands, including my own, decided that rolling our own auth wasn't the best call. I made this mistake with T3 Chat, and it cost us potential enterprise contracts because, well, we didn't have any way to authenticate those users. And you're probably dealing with this too. If you had Microsoft show up to your office today saying, hey, we want to sign a contract for 1,000 accounts, how do we set up our bespoke weird auth to work with your service? Are you ready to handle that? Probably not. But if you start today with WorkOS, you will be. The admin portal is incredible. You literally just send a link to the company that you're working with. They pick whatever identity provider they use, and now they can have their employees authed to your service without you having to do anything at all. It's miraculous. And setting this up yourself is hellish. Trust me on that one, guys. By the way, first million users are free. So what do you have to lose? Check them out now at soydev.link/workos. This all came to light earlier today when Adam posted this recording of his morning walk, just talking to his phone, recording it, and publishing it. And there are a lot of painful realizations in this. And as a fellow founder who's also had to lay off the majority of their team in the past, this one tugged at the heartstrings. I don't know if y'all know this, but early in 2023, when I realized that doing video product wasn't really a way to make money, I had to lay off the almost entirety of the team at Ping, leaving just Mark and me. That was 6 people whose jobs just kind of vanished, and it felt awful. I chose to do it then because I wanted to make sure I had enough money to give generous severance and help out with the rest of the team getting new gigs. And I did my best there, and I'm proud of what we did. But at the same time, it was probably the single greatest failure of my career to even end up in that position, and it still haunts me to this day. So I have so much empathy for the position Adam is in here and the realization that he had. The link for this is in the description if you want to hear the whole thing. About 33 minutes long. The quick summary I'll give you is that they saw revenue going down, but they did the thing all founders do, which is they kind of ignore the numbers when they aren't good until they went back and looked and realized, oh shit, we have 6 months until we go out of business. And he decided to do the right thing here, which is lay people off now so they can get severance and go find new jobs instead of waiting till they were entirely out of money. And now people just suddenly don't have a job the next day. Massive respect for Adam for having this realization and doing this, and I don't have any ill will for him taking this long to do it. It is incredibly common. I've invested in enough companies early stage to know this. No ill will towards Adam. But we do need to talk about how we ended up here and what the future for open source projects like what they built with Tailwind is going to be. Before we go to this next section, I just want to ask you a question. How does Tailwind make money? If you're deep enough in the CSS world and have been around for a long time, you probably know the answer. But if you're new here, or maybe you just started using Tailwind because your AI recommended it, you might not. Well, if we go to the Tailwind docs, we can find it relatively quick. Let's just look at some things here. I don't know, let's hop to columns. Anything in here? No. You honestly are going to have to look pretty hard. The first thing's obviously sponsors. Shout out sponsors. We have a lot of sponsor overlap here. And by the way, any of my sponsors who are seeing this, you should consider sponsoring Tailwind. They could use it. I've already started pinging a handful of them that they should be throwing some money to Tailwind. We're all using it for all of our stuff. I'm pretty sure at least 80% of my sponsors are using Tailwind for, at the very least, their like homepages. More of us need to be supporting and putting money back in. But now, when we scroll far enough, we see the thing that they charge for, Tailwind Plus. It's a set of templates, UI blocks, and a whole UI kit for using Tailwind. And these are really good sets of stuff. I was a subscriber of the original, I forgot what it was called before Tailwind Plus, but they had this like Tailwind kit thing that you could buy a long time ago. And it was a $200 lifetime purchase for my business. And we still use it for a bunch of shit to this day. The upload thing docs are stunning. And a huge part of why they are so stunning is because we use the Tailwind template for it. It was a Tailwind Next.js template for doing docs, and it was really good. The problem is that it's not open source. Our docs are source available, and a lot of the rest of the upload thing client code is open source, but we had to put a different license for this because it's a thing that they're selling, and they should. It's really good, and I'm happy with the money we spent. But there's a lot of problems with this model. The first is just the monetization strategy. Dax had a really good reply about this that I've been thinking about since I saw it. It's likely you already know all of what I'm about to say, but just in case, our teams talked a bunch about y'all, yada yada. We saw you similar to musicians. Go into a hole and work on an album, do a drop, go on tour for a bit, and that's where you make the money. Rinse and repeat. You don't make money streaming. It's the amount of artists that can make a living off of the music that they release being played and paying them is very, very small. We're talking a few hundred people. Most musicians make their money doing other things like tours and merch and other physical sales of things and services to make ends meet. Your audience grows each time, but you kind of lose all the advantage of building an internet business. You have to fight for every single sale, every single iteration. It doesn't get easier. Put another way, you missed out on all the advantages of compounding. A customer that you grabbed 5 years ago should still be paying you. This is the key. I paid Tailwind that $200 very excitedly all the way back in 2021, and I'm still using that lifetime purchase that I made to get all sorts of useful things for the stuff that we built. That said, Claude's gotten good enough at designing with Tailwind that I don't find myself reaching for that kit of stuff anymore because I can make things that look decent without it. There is something else that they sell that I do highly recommend checking out. This is the Refactoring UI book. Saying this book changed how I think about design is an understatement. It's one of the best things I've ever read as a developer, and it's still helpful today as a developer that isn't doing the front-end work themselves as directly now. It helps me have a language for describing why things look off and getting them fixed. I'm thankful I read this as early as I did. And funny enough, believe it or not, this book came out before Tailwind. So you don't even need to be a Tailwind user to have it be useful. This is just a good design book. And it was the lessons that Adam and Steve had that they learned and solidified through the writing of this book that resulted in Tailwind happening. The fact that it is a free open source project for all of us to use and consume however we want is an incredible generosity given by them. But we have to return the favor as an industry. We need to buy the book. We need to use Tailwind Plus. We need to sponsor. We need to support them back. That's how open source works. And their decision to try and make a business around it was always a risk. But that risk is compounded massively by the introduction of AI. Historically, open source projects only made their money by finding something to sell alongside it for the power users of that project. Something like Redis, for example, would sell services to fund the team while at the same time building the open source project for others to use. And the result was that they changed the license, broke all of the community trust, caused this very popular fork Valkey to exist, and then eventually walked it back and rehired the original creator. That one was a mess. That's an example of doing it wrong, but they tried. A better example is something like Vercel, where they made Next.js, a super popular, powerful front-end full-stack framework, but it was too hard to deploy. And they started building tools to fix these shortcomings that we had as developers. And that ended up building a very successful business that they've continued iterating and making cool things from. I still use Vercel heavily, and I haven't built anything with Next.js in a couple months. I'm almost at a year now. Tailwind's similar pitch was selling help with design. Tailwind makes it way easier to implement the designs, but doesn't make it any easier to be a good designer. It helps you understand the CSS better. I still firmly believe I am better at CSS as a result of using Tailwind. But what they sell is stuff like this, where they are teaching you how to be a better designer. And also stuff like Plus, where you can get really good starting points for the different things you want to make. This is so valuable for us as we built Ping and Upload Thing and Pick Thing and so many of our other projects. Many of them started as originally versions of these templates, and it was absolutely worth the money for us. That said, this is now in competition with AI. The fact that AI models have gotten as good as they have means that you could make things that are, to most people who aren't great designers, similar quality to what you're seeing here. And if you're still not great at design, you haven't read the refactoring UI book, you're not deep in the weeds like many of us are, the designs that you pull out of Claude Sonnet 4.5 are going to look more than good enough for whatever the heck you're working on. So the need for templates like this is hitting the floor fast. And that sucks. There's a reason that they lost 80% of their sales. It's because these things were either purchased by people like me a long time ago and we're still using the version we purchased forever ago, or we're using AI and don't need it anymore. This drama came to head today because of this particular PR that has been closed on the Tailwind repo, adding LLM.text endpoints support for the LLM optimized docs for Tailwind. This would allow for AI models to better understand all of the cool features Tailwind has, and the LLM's text would be generated as a result of the markdown in their docs. That's really cool and would allow for AI agents to be even better at Tailwind. Most of them are already pretty good at it because they're trained on a lot of the data from it, but they don't know all of the new features. They don't know about how to port from Tailwind v3 to v4. It's one of my favorite tests, and all the agents bomb it. This PR was an attempt to make it easier for AI to use Tailwind out of love of Tailwind. And it's kind of heartbreaking that the person who filed this PR is getting shit for it when their intent was clearly very good. It's clear what the goal of Quantasor was here. He wanted to make it so the AI tools he uses to build can better understand how Tailwind works so they can use it more properly. There's a lot of pushback on Adam in the comments around how more use should mean more opportunities to monetize, but that's not true at all, as he says here. I totally see the value in this feature and I would like to find a way to add it, but the reality is that 75% of the people on our engineering team lost their jobs here yesterday because of the brutal impact AI has had on our business. And every second I spend trying to do fun, free things for the community like this, the second I'm not spending trying to turn the business around and make sure the people who are still here are getting their paychecks every month. It is worth noting that the 75% number is 3 people out of their 4-person eng team, but it still sucks so hard. Tailwind is popular enough that they should comfortably be able to employ way more than 4 engineers. But again, open source doesn't pay the bills inherently. They are barely making enough off of sponsors and whatever little revenue they still get from Tailwind Plus to survive now that they've downsized. Traffic to their docs is down 40% from early 2023, despite Tailwind being more popular than ever. The docs are the only way people find out about their commercial product, and without customers, they can't afford to maintain the framework. He wants to find a way to offer LLM optimized docs that doesn't make the situation even worse. Again, they had to lay off 75% of their team today. Tailwind is growing faster than it ever has, and it's bigger than it's ever been, and our revenue is down close to 80%. Right now, there's just no correlation between making Tailwind easier to use and making development of the framework more sustainable. He can't make Tailwind easier to use right now because if he can't fix the problem of it making the revenue go down, the project's going to become unmaintained abandonware where there is no one left employed to work on it. I appreciate the sentiment and agree in spirit. It's just more complicated than that in reality right now. Yeah, this just sucks. And I wish I had more to say. I have a bad feeling this is the start of a thing we're going to see a lot more of going forward. Projects that would previously have been able to make money doing things like consulting, doing things like selling templates, doing things like paid modules, they're all going to fall to the wayside of AI. A lot of the ways that we would monetize our open source projects are things you can just do with an agent that you're already paying for. If you have a Cursor subscription or a Claude subscription, you can remake most of what their templates offer to a high enough-ish bar that you might not even think that you would want them. And that's just bad. And I don't know how to solve this problem. I know how Bun solved it. They got bought by one of these labs. I know how OpenCode is solving it. They just put up a $200 a month sub with a sketchy Stripe link that a bunch of people bought. I don't know how Tailwind solves this. There's a lot of good commentary on this one. I want to just go through some of the things people have said. Jake from Railway said that Tailwind's business is massively down due to AI adoption. Open source needs a new way to monetize. The old one is disappearing. Adam and the team need to be paid for every CPU cycle. Yep. Vukes, who's the creator of React Native, Prettier, Excalibur, the drawing app I use all the time, and way more, had the following to say. He's had a similar issue with Prettier. It's used by everyone in the industry, but it has been a struggle to fund proper maintenance for it. For Excalidraw, he went the SaaS business model, which has been working better. Yeah. I said earlier I was going to do something about the sponsorship. I'm going to do it. If you are a company that is down to sponsor Tailwind, I highly recommend it. All of the tiers are on the docs page. I'm going to support it as an individual. Hiding the screen so I can do this. I am now a yearly subscriber to the Tailwind Insiders program. I would recommend you do the same if Tailwind has brought you joy. And if you work at a company that uses Tailwind heavily, I would highly recommend that they consider sponsoring the project. It is so important that projects like Tailwind have enough success to survive as the way that we all build changes. It's scary to think AI might take our jobs as full-time software developers, but in my opinion, it's much scarier that it might kill open source projects like Tailwind. So please do your part. Buy the book if you haven't. It's so good. Like this, just do it. It's so worth it. And if you're an engineer lead or somebody with a budget at the company, buy a copy for everyone on your team. They all deserve it. It'll make their designs and their application building way better. If you've already done that, check out the sponsorships as a business or as an individual. Support the projects you use. And also go through your dependencies. Look at who else you're relying on as a business and see how they are doing funding-wise. Now is a time for us as an industry to talk more about this more than ever. As these AI companies are more and more successful and are making more and more money, there's a very important opportunity for us to give back. And if we don't, we might never see our technology improve again. That's my biggest fear. Tailwind V4 was an incredible launch, but if we don't support projects like Tailwind, there will be no V5. There will be no new React. There will be no new Bun. There will be no new TRPC. There will be no new any of the things that we talk about and use and rely on here on the channel and in the industry as a whole. Support the open source projects that we build on top of so that they don't disappear in the process. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Tailwind team, for everything you guys have done. You've made me a better developer and made my businesses more successful too. I appreciate y'all immensely, and I hope that we can make things move forward in a way that is more beneficial to Tailwind as a business. I got nothing else on this one. I'm going to go take some NyQuil and pass out. Thank you all as always. Until next time, peace, nerds.